Hey, it's JayGS and welcome to this video comparison. Finding and looking at Ursa's mechanics and seeing where they pop up in League of Legends. And this is a series that I've always wanted to do but never knew how to really start. And I'm picking Ursa because I was just scrolling and skip to this timeline if you want to just get straight to the comparison and analysis, but I feel like this introduction is needed because I wanted to do a series about comparing different mechanics in Dota 2, how they're similar and different to League of Legends. And this isn't to really expose of who's copying or plagiarizing who. In gaming and art, there's a lot of sort of inspiration taken from one another, and to just go in circles of what's copying what is a waste of time. This is more of educational standpoint that I would like to do. Maybe I'll joke around of what is copying, but it's not a serious thing. So with that said, I think the introduction is done. With other topics I'll come back to another time. So with Ursa right here, he is seen as melee, carry, jungler, though jungling in Dota 2 is sort of removed or nerfed quite a lot. And then he's durable and disabler. So we have 3 spells and 1 passive. So I'll be explaining his kit first before going into different things that we find in League of Legends. So he has one change called Earthshock, which is he jumps in the air and then he slows. So the first skill, we will identify it as a small leap and plus slow. And if you are someone who plays League of Legends, you might be able to think of which champion actually has that explanation or identification. Who leaps and slows in an AoE. Now, when doing my own test, I was actually quite surprised about how big the AoE is. Now if you look at it, it's this big, and at first I thought it was more of a melee range, like around this circle, based on just the rocks that he produced in his special effects, but looking closer, it's in the circle and one needs to look at the wind that pops out. So with this case, Ursa in the past, and a little bit still is very slow, and he needs to buy more mobility items like Blink Dagger and Face Boots to run fast. And now with this, he has a little bit more mobility and a slow to, as we can say, slow the opponent. This slow was still there before the leap. It's just that it was, I think, smaller range, melee range, and now they just increased the range and added a leap to have a little bit more mobility. Okay, so next skill, Overpower. He gets max attack speed. Unlike League of Legends, they have different things that allow you to go over the max attack speed, but for in this case, he gets max or bonus attack speed of 400, but usually it's sort of already max at that point for a couple of seconds. And now with max, it's at 9 attacks, so he gets 9 quick attacks at once, basically. And then usually people would use it by let me take out the refresh spells. So they would use it and then wait for the cooldown to go to near 0, so that you get in total 18 attacks. So I'll go hit at this person, and then I can immediately activate it again to get even more swipes. And next is Fury swipes. So this is the passive based on just attacks. So whenever you attack enemy, you put stacks on them. So with each stack, you deal more and more damage. So at max value, each attack gives you plus 48 damage. So he becomes a very strong single target attacker. and with objectives like Roshan, he's a very strong hero to kill Roshan solo in the early stages of the game, when it will be much harder for other heroes. And apparently I believe this damage still lifesteals as well, so he will lifesteal a lot when he gets a lot of stacks against the target like Roshan. And then the last one, they also reworked this ability, but a bit longer before the rework of the first skill. So his ultimate is Enrage, and he basically gets damage reduction 80% here, and status resistance 50%. Status resistance, basically he is affected by stuns much less, by 50%. And then the duration is 6.2 seconds. And then added with the Aghanim Scepter upgrade, this item right here that upgrades some of your abilities. And so in Ursa's case, he can activate it while he's actually disabled. So if people try to stun him before he uses ability, that would be one of the counters to him. You must stun him before he can use any of his abilities or his ulti, so you can do the maximum amount of damage in that stun duration. But with the Aghanim Scepter now, even if you stun him, he can still activate it while stunned, and then he should be able to survive the burst or any kind of burst and make a comeback basically into the game. So actually, while doing this recording, I'm gonna add this idea of using an ability during a disable, I think, to the video as well in the comparison. So if you're someone who plays League of Legends, and based on my description of these abilities, do feel free to comment below on which champions would have these kinds of mechanics. So with that said, I will hop into League of Legends and then hopefully present to you some of the champions that I think are closest to these abilities, or even runes actually. So be right back. We are now in League of Legends, and this is Jace. So we'll go to the first skill of Ursa. As we describe it, it is a leap plus slow, and there's no one else really that I could think of. And feel free, of course, to leave in the comments below if there's someone like that. Would be Jay's first skill, melee form into the skies. So now we're in his melee form, and then if he presses R ulti, he turns into range. If he's melee, that's how it looks. But so, not to take too long to explain his abilities, basically his first ability, into the sky, he leaps and then he causes a slow down there, as you can see. Now compared to Ursa's ability, where he would leap forward based on where he's facing, right? So you aim by your sort of movement. In this case, this is a target ability. I cannot use it without targeting a person. Now let's say in the balance case of things is that it's made this way because he or the game designers want this ability to be used offensively, unless you are trying to run away and there's like a bunch of enemy creeps for you to jump towards too. In Ursa's case, it's a little bit more freedom, where you can just use it regardless if there is an enemy there or not, and you can just click away and then jump to your pleasure. Something I wanted to add is that with Ursa's leap, he can actually jump over cliffs as well, or walls. So here we have, let me find like a good spot. Here we have like a wall, can go up, so he would just leap, go up there. Right now he's blocked in the trees, which is fine. And so this also gives a lot of mobility to Ursa's kit, as so. There's plenty of cliffs around, and being able to jump over and under is a very good way to sort of catch up to enemies or run away from them. Okay, on to the next champion. We have Callista, and also Hail of Blades. So we'll go step by step to explain things, and I would like to correct something from Ursa. When I first read, attack speed bonus is 400, and in the wiki it says it does not guarantee actually full attack speed, so he most likely does not get a maximum attack speed compared to another hero in Dota 2 called Wind Ranger, which I'm sure that one gets full attack speed with their ulti, but that's besides the point. Just a quick correction, and also that this is a good spell against any attack speed slows in Dota 2. So with Overpowered, Ursa's second spell that gives 3 to 6 quick attacks in a duration of 20 seconds. The closest thing that I could think of would be Hail of Blades, the rune that you can pick up in the beginning of the game before the game starts. So to explain Hail of Blades is that when you first attack an enemy, like so, you gain the stack, it activates, and then you get a bunch of quick attacks right after. So the first attack does not get the attack speed buff, it's the second attack after that. So when you hit a champion, you gain 110% bonus attack speed, and for this rune you actually could go above the attack speed cap, which is 2.5. So right now with the items that I have right now, I have 2.02. 2.5 is the max attack speed. So when I attack, it goes up to 2.8, 2.7 just now for those few attacks. So in total, it lasts for 3 seconds. So even if I attack and stop, this lasts for 3 seconds, and then I get to like try to hit as quickly as possible. So you get 3 basic attacks with this rune, and I believe that is it for Ursa's second spell, Hail of Blades. So his Ursa's third spell, and that's why I picked Callista, is most similar to her third spell called Rend. And for Rend, actually, I would sort of claim that it takes a one-to-one comparison between spells here. It takes a little bit more skill to use Rend compared to Ursa's passive. For Ursa's passive, you simply just need to attack the enemy and they will forever take more damage. For Callista's Rend, when you attack, they start to get stacks, as you can see up here on the left hand side, stacks going up constantly, and they actually don't take more damage right now. It's just that you're increasing the stacks, and it's only when I activate it just now, I activated the third skill, that is where the damage is dealt to the enemy. So in Ursa's case, you only have to just keep on attacking the enemy and they will forever take more and more damage unless they go like stop getting hit by him basically and wait for the cooldown to reset. But in Callista's case, she needs to, or the player needs to calculate exactly how many spears is enough to execute them, and if she actually missed the execution, the spell would then go on cooldown as so, and she wouldn't be able to like use it again for a very long time against other opponents. But in this case, there's a few other mechanics with this spell that I don't want to waste too much time in. It goes outside of Ursa's abilities. But basically, if you actually kill a enemy or even a creep, it resets the cooldown and allows you to keep fighting or keep farming. And that's all with Ursa's third skill. So finally, to Ursa's ulti. Ursa's ulti basically gives us two things: status resistance and damage reduction. And having to come back here to record again, I found a better suit, which is Garen's W, Courage. So Garen's W has a passive that gives armor and magic resist. That is the extra stuff by killing minions. But when you activate so, he gains reduces incoming damage by 30%. for a few seconds. So it's the first for 2 seconds to 5 seconds. And then for the first 0.75 seconds, Garen also gains a shield and 60% tenacity. As so, and then it's gone. Let me switch this to. So we see it again. There's the shield, and it's gone. So reduces incoming damage compared to Ursa. Pretty straightforward. Any damage that you take is reduced, just like armor and magic resistance. But the difference, there's a difference still, where even though in League it says that it reduces incoming damage as Garen's skill, and there's many other champions like him that reduces damage by a percentage, it still will not reduce what they call true damage or pure damage in Dota 2. Compared to Ursa and anyone who has a reduced damage spell, they would also reduce true damage. So there is another difference. So for League, even though you have reduced damage, true damage or pure damage will still go through. But in Dota, if you have reduced damage, their true damage will also be reduced, because it's, as they sort of put it, it reduces all incoming damage, which includes true damage. That's a lot of damage in one sentence. But I would like to also talk about the tenacity for League and status resistance for Dota 2. So once again, for Ursa, he gains 50% status resistance, so all stuns will be reduced by 50%. And then for Garen, for again only for 0.75 seconds, so it's less than a second, he gains up to 60%. And the reason for this is that they wanted to sort of add skill, so you need to press the button at the exact right moment when the person throws out their stun at you, whether it's a skill shot or not. So you need to time it properly to, like, oh, there it is, and then I gain a small shield. And I also added a few more items in the mix, basically. So we have this rune that you can pick at the beginning of the game, and it gives you tenacity, and it starts at 5%. And with every stack you gain up to 10 max, as you can see in the green number, you gain 2.5%. And then that is sort of, it gives you more counter to CC. And then here is my current tenacity, and I bought some boots that gives me more tenacity. And then this item, which I cannot proc right now because I need to take a bunch of damage, and then it will give me a shield. But once I get a shield, I'll get a bunch of tenacity as well, up to be 30% for 8 seconds. But now if I use my W courage, we can see the number here goes up to 73%, and that's a lot of status resistance. So that is the end of my analysis of Ursa's mechanics and spells in League of Legends. Do feel free once again to leave comments if I miss anything, or should I explain something more to elaborate certain details that shouldn't be overlooked. And I will also add a few graphics text to finalize the comparison between all of the spells, and a couple of details like damage, I suppose, or slow durations in the screen in front of you, with all the comparisons that I made to League of Legends. With that said, hopefully you subscribe, and I will bring to you a comparison in the fear mechanics, and also actually want to compare the demo versions between the two games. So the Dota demo that you can see here, and the demo version sandbox that you saw when I was doing the League of Legends presentation. With that said, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Bye for now.